Hello and welcome to Dream Job Ready. My name is Dane Sharp, I'm your host, and I'm joined by award-winning agency MD, Aden Hepburn, who's going to share some advice about how you can get your dream job and be successful in agency land.
Please note that the opinions of guests are their own and not those of the companies they have worked for. This is Dream Job Ready with Dane Sharp.
Hey Aden, before we lay it all out for the listener, mate, I would want to start by throwing it to you and asking for a couple of your career highlights that you've had. So first of all, I want to know, when was the first time you felt or knew that you'd made it in agency land?
That's that's a good question, mate. It's hard to define, but I remember this kind of crazy period when I was working at Y&R, global, pretty famous global, advertising agency, and there was a guy there, Russell Howcroft. He's one of the constant sort of panel experts on the Gruen transfer on the ABC. He's most recently was at PwC as their kind of chief creative officer and partner there. And also a bit of a mentor of mine as well. And I worked for him for a number of years. And, he was a pretty heavy hitter in the industry, if you like, and one of the kind of most famous guys going around at that time. And I remember he sort of pulled me into a room one day and sort of said there was a global team coming down the following week. And he wanted me to kind of prepare a presentation to sort of show him what we were doing in the market and where we thought it could go, and just sort of, show the wares, if you like. What's working, what's not working, where do we need investment, how do we think we can grow, where's the opportunity in the market, what are the competitors doing? I thought, okay, great, yep, not a problem. Sort of pulled that together, crafted it with him just a little bit. And obviously it's a pretty big thing. I was quite young at the time. I was about 26. And so to be asked that by Russell Howcroft at the time, it's a pretty big deal, There's the global CEO and his entourage were kind of coming down. You've got the regional CEO who's a heavy hitter who's like, right, build this presentation, this is critical. So the global guys kind of come down. Russell sets me up. I'm in the boardroom with him, David Sable, JJ Schmuckler and a few of the other guys that were there at the time. And kind of delivered this presentation that sort of said, imagine if we could build an agency that did X, Y, and Z. Here was the data, here was the opportunity. No one else was in the market. We looked at the core offerings that we had, the capabilities, the skill sets, some of the clients, and kind of built this kind of view for kind of what was working, but really where it could kind of go next, and sort of presented that as a team to kind of, much applause is probably a little bit too strong, but to some pretty strong reactions around seeing that opportunity in the market, and seeing all of the amazing work we've been doing as a team in Sydney. And then kind of having them sort of come out and go to dinner that night, great meal, great friends, all that sort of stuff, and then sort of being called back in the next day, and then them sort of saying, you know what, we think we need to launch a new agency in this country. We need to get you on the phone with someone else from Global, and we think we might have something here for you. And I think it was at that point that I was like, holy shit, like what's actually happening here? And that was the kind of, the very, very start of kind of launching VML into Australia. Russell Howcroft, JJ Schmuckler, David Sable, got on the phone with John Cook, who was the global CEO, and Matt Anthony, who was the chairman at the time of VML, and kind of had this big discussion within 24 hours of that presentation. A week later, I was in Kansas City doing an onboarding session and some business planning for what we might do if we were going to launch an agency brand new into the country, and I was going to be in charge. So I think that was the time, in this kind of crazy sort of circumstances, all off the back of hey, can you just pull me together a presentation? I think within the space of a week and a half, 2 weeks, we were going to build an all new agency model in the country, and I was going to be in charge of it. I think that's when I was like, holy shit, this is going to be big, and this is going to be life changing, and it truly was.
Man, I can't imagine the mixed bag of emotions that must have been going on. Must have been everything from the worst nerves ever to the most confident, hey, look at me moments you've had. Like, how did you keep a hold of it all?
Mate, I was just, thought I'd fake it till I made it. That was absolutely the mission. It's one of those funny things. You're kind of a young buck at that point, and you've obviously got plenty of confidence, and you're winning awards, and you've got a great team around you, and you've got great people who believe in you, and there's a lot of confidence there. But then there's also, a ton of self-doubt. It's like, hang on, this is not just working for someone. This is actually being the guy, to start it and create it and build the story and build the business from scratch, which is really something very, very different. And I think maybe I was just so young and hungry that kind of, oh shit, can I do this, wasn't a big part of it. Or maybe that's just because I had an amazing group of people around me, that I've now worked with for 10 odd years. But it was a confidence play. And I think that's kind of what got me through it, at least for the start of it anyway.
Perfect. Well, this episode, we're going to sap as much knowledge and insights out of you as we can for the listener that's aspiring to see success in agency land. So rule number one, confidence. We'll kind of shelve fake it till you make it, but maybe there's a bit in there, but confidence.
Yeah, that one out if you can. Yeah.
Now, that was the moment. And now you've just done it again with an all new agency. Like, how do you even start to pull an agency and a big business together and then go out and seek the kind of clients that you're able to work with? How do you do that?
Yeah, it's a good question, mate. I think it's timing's absolutely everything. I think you've got to have it's got to be the right time, and I think right now with a world that's kind of blown up in terrible ways for so many people, it's also the best time to disrupt things and to kind of reimagine what a business could be and a way it could service clients and a way you could bring on talent and do new things. So I think as scary as that is to kind of build a new business in a world that who knows which way it's going to go right now, it's also the time where, failure is not really an option because you've kind of got to make it work. And so there are no expectations. Everyone knows the world's crazy. So it's kind of a blank slate to kind of pull things together and kind of not just conform to the typical models that the industry kind of works on. And so I think you've got to have trusted people with you, people who've got your back, people you trust, people you love. We've always talked about it as like that kind of family feeling, and I think that's super important. You can't do without it. You've got to have a really interesting model. I think you've got to take everything that you've learnt, everything that you've seen, everything you wished you could do probably, and find those unique kind of points of it and those opportunities that sit within it that people really want, but maybe you've not had before, or you've not had the focus for it, or things that you just couldn't do enough of, but you knew were gravitational for clients and they really wanted that stuff. So you need those nuggets. And I think then you need a couple of trusting clients who are ready to kind of back you in a new world and back a small startup that can be more nimble, that can be faster, that can be more creative, that can be more innovative, and kind of isn't weighed down by big agency kind of red tape at the same time. And so I think you've got to have that. It's that trusted team. It's that kind of couple of clients who want to back you with a new model. It's having that really interesting differentiated proposition and kind of capability set that people truly want to help build that kind of foundation. And I think if you can kind of get those sorts of things together, you end up in a really powerful position to kind of, do something a little crazy and launch a new company in COVID-19.
Yeah, 100%. Mate, something just dawned on me. I didn't really expect it. Listening to your answer there, it kind of really makes me think, and maybe it's because I've done a stack of episodes now in this podcast, but it kind of really just dawned on me. It's kind of like finding a dream job, kind of like building an agency, to your point, discovering or really itemizing those things you've always wanted to do or you really love doing, putting them together. Obviously finding a business or businesses that are going to take a punt on you and trust that you're going to be the right team or the right person for that role, and then actually going out and executing it and doing it well. That's super cool. Now, obviously, you talked about the importance of people. I'd love to know, without giving away all of your business secrets, what are the teams that make up a good agency these days?
Yeah, look, I think the biggest thing to kind of build a successful agency now is you don't want to bolt things on, right? And I think if you look at where the world is right now and you look at all of the big businesses or the big agency models, they have a creative agency that bolts on a couple of digital people and maybe a couple of technical people, then maybe a PR or a media person, and maybe they even build out a CRM team or a data team or whatever that might be. And suddenly you've got a core business model that's kind of fragmenting and being stretched, but there's always kind of one dominant kind of culture within those businesses, and you can see those in the big holding groups. You can see them in the big creative agencies. There's a dominant culture, whether that's around creativity or technology, whatever it might be, and then it tries to bolt on all the other bits. And there's always a tension there for who leads and who follows or how things collaborate. So I think for me, it's about the opportunity and ability to build it from scratch and integrate it. So, what we're doing at Akcelo is building that model literally from scratch. So the dominant culture is a completely fused team of creatives, user experience experts, data experts, technology experts, strategy, and kind of consultancy experts at the very core of the business versus bolting them on down the track as a business typically looks to, expand its service capabilities. So what you end up with is, a flat structured team of people who came on board with a vision to all work together as one team versus departments, and versus business units, even some of those large companies have. So it breaks down all the barriers, it breaks down all the communication channels, it breaks down the egos, it breaks down the hierarchy, and you end up with just a SWAT team of amazing capability working on awesome, white space problems for brands and businesses, and trying to solve really challenging things in all new ways, which I think is super exciting.
And how do you go about leading, a diverse group of people like that? You mentioned a stack of different job titles, if you will, all of which come with varied skill sets. There's obvious overlaps, but different skill sets, etc. How do you lead that at the top? And most importantly, for the listener that's trying to grow their career in that for agencies, what advice can you share to make sure that person's showing up, putting their best foot forward, and keeping people like you happy to have them employed?
Look, I think it's simple. It's you've got to be in the team. I think there's a new generation of worker, staff member, team member, employee that just wants to be part of a really amazing team. And I think the old agency model is hierarchy. It's corner office, closed door. You can only come in and see me when I'm ready for you. And that there's a whole generation that was just how it was done, and that's just kind of how it worked. But I think the new generation coming through wants an open door policy. They want to be collaborative. They want to see the leaders in their teams and kind of working on and in the business with them. So I think that's the most important thing. So for me, it's about being as much as a part of the team as it is from leading from the front. It's never whipping people from behind. It's always being in the team or in front of the team and showing them where to go versus just telling them where to go. And I think that's the difference between leaders and I think great leaders. I think if you can be in the team and corral a team and drive a team forward by leading from the front and being part of it, I think you earn respect quicker. I think you motivate people more effectively, and I think you get better outcomes out of those people because they know that you're going to be there in the trenches with them, doing it when the times get tough, not clocking off at 5 o'clock and going home in your fancy car or whatever it might be.
And, you've been a part of obviously that transition from, as you're saying, that more probably hierarchical kind of business model into that more fluid one team, one dream, for use of a better term model.
You can have that one for later, mate. Yep.
Yeah. As the industry kind of continues to tread that way, where's the biggest opportunity at the moment? Where is the the market the worst at that people need to get better at?
Ooh, you mean from a job perspective?
Yeah, from a staff point of view, where are people still missing the point or missing the mark?
Yeah, look, I think it's I think the hierarchy thing is still the problem. I think that's still a big challenge. I'm just trying to think about what else is kind of really kind of hurting the industry right now. There's definitely a lot of discussion still around agency hours and the culture of hard work and all of those sorts of things. And what I sort of think about that and sort of how I challenge it is that no one needs to work all day and all night and all weekend in agency land. It's about being really effective with your time and kind of planning your time and working with leaders to make that plan, And I think a lot of agencies probably historically haven't put the focus on organizational structure and kind of planning projects or pitches or whatever it might be in the right way, and everything becomes a rush and it becomes urgent, and you might have big creative and strategy heads who aren't quite sure what they want and they just want more and more options, and that's just a creative process in the industry, but it doesn't always have to be like that. And I think you can make a game plan. You can take a much more technology company focus to it. You can plan things in sprints. You can put the right collaborative capability around a task or a project and go really hard at it, in quite an agile manner, and tick off what you need to get ticked off in the right way really quickly without burning the midnight oil, without having to be in all weekend, every weekend. It's up to the individuals as to whether they're going to end up having to do that or not. And sure, sometimes that's completely unavoidable, but I think it's a bit of a misnomer in that you go into agency land and you just have to work 24/7, because you don't. You just need to help lead the way you want to work and create those boundaries and kind of create your kind of working model for yourself.
Mate, it's a good one, because I want to pull forward our listener question of the week. I've got it written down here, but I was going to ask it towards the end of the episode, but it's a nice segue. This is from Melanie, and she wrote to me and asked, if you speak with someone who works for a marketing agency or any type of agency, ask them what their opinion on sort of the new normal working conditions are, whether that's the ability for more people to work remotely, whether that's work from home more often, more flexible hours. And I was keen to ask you this question because I know that you've worked for businesses that have fostered a great culture and a great environment in an office. So what's your thoughts on, I guess, what we've been forced to do over the last bunch of months and kind of what may come out of it?
Yeah. Look, the first thing is it's super hard. That's for sure. Having led businesses that are, in office businesses where there's an amazing culture and energy of a younger demographic kind of working its way through the industry. A lot of that's driven by that kind of face-to-face interaction. So going remote was probably the scariest thing for me as a business leader and as a team leader. A, I'd never done that before, and B, kind of had all sorts of fears about, how that would work, in a really fast-paced environment, building a new company. But I'm actually sort of pleasantly surprised, and I think you've got to have touch points, super critical. You've got to try and replicate those team environments in new, fun and interesting ways. So you can kind of take all of the good bits about what you used to do in an office, whether it was, your Friday drinks or your Monday morning stand-ups or, your team lunch and learns or whatever it might be, and certain catch-ups, and just find new ways to do them remotely. Google Hangouts and the like, and Zoom's a fabulous tool to do that. You do definitely get a bit of burnout on that as well. So you do have to kind of mix it up. So what we've been doing is kind of transforming our office into more of a collaboration space. So rather than just having, 30 or 40 desks, it's all about having like two big kind of working rooms, or, workshop rooms, if you like, where people will come into the office literally to collaborate, which kind of gives you that kind of touch point with your colleagues and kind of leaders and all of that sort of stuff, where you can actually be there and be immersed in the culture and the way of working, the way we do workshops or whatever it might be, or the way we create technology or create ideas in person in a physical, tactile kind of way. But then you actually just go home to actually do the work. And so that's the kind of model we're sort of fusing out right now. And we think it'll be really cool for at least for the next 6 to 12 months while we kind of work out what the world's going to do is kind of be in the office to collaborate, be at home to work. Because I think, a lot of people are praising the benefits of being able to just put their headphones on at home and work away and kind of get things done. There's still challenges with that, of course, where, early morning phone calls become late night phone calls because there is no boundary and you're just working from your kitchen bench or whatever it might be, kind of like I am now. Things just kind of bleed and blur. But maybe that's with the flexibility of doing other things in and around your work. So people aren't typically complaining about that. Whereas if they're in an office late at night, they're complaining that they've had to kind of work late, which is completely fair as well. So it's a different thing. I think people are using it to their advantage to kind of, help work out their home life as much as they are working out their work life. And I think there's a balance and there's a trade-off between people wanting to be available at new and interesting times of the day and night, but not, being under the pump 24/7, only working during their work days, So I think there's a really interesting trade-off there that people have to take advantage of both ways from the employer and the employee as well, which I think can really be beneficial. But yeah, look, ultimately, I think you've got to, you still have to have that tactile kind of connection to the office, to people, but you can virtualize that as well. So whether that's, there's a lot of people doing Friday night virtual drinks and everyone kind of logs on. We've done that a couple of times now where we'll send out kind of cocktail packs to everyone in the agency, gets delivered to their door the morning of, then we all log in at, sort of 5:30 on a big group chat, and then everyone sort of looks at what cocktails they got and everyone, shares a laugh and all of that sort of stuff, which is kind of fun, but, obviously then gets quite predictable quite quickly. So then you kind of spice that up with, different things. So different teams do, their own catch-ups and their own trivia things or whatever it might be. So just using collaboration tools in a different way, but anchoring back to a physical space, I'm finding is really, really important. And what we're seeing is people wanting to come back to the office with the notion that they know they're not going to lose the flexibility to work at home.
Yeah, getting a bit of both. And I think, hopefully that's answered Melanie's question. One thing that I'd add, and I'd love your thoughts on it, is, I don't know Melanie's situation or who she's working for, but I would say, be involved and be a change maker. Speak up if she's got great ideas or, things that she thinks the business needs to take on. Voice it if she's got the opportunity to do so.
I agree. I think there's nothing better than a leader hearing the team's thoughts and ideas about a new way to do it. Love it. Melanie, email me. I'd love to hear your ideas. I'd love to steal some for our business.
There you go. I like it. Rule number 2 for agency, Glenn. Now, hey, let's throw us back in time a little bit, mate. Let's go back to when you first wanted to start working in marketing and digital and social, etc. I'd love to know what the motivation was. What got you excited about that industry and career path? And then if you can, as a second part to that question, do those motivations, are they consistent today? Are they still the same, or have you moved on, do different things kind of inspire you?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. So I kind of fell into marketing and advertising. I left school and did a TAFE degree in website design and technology, and I thought, it was 2003, and it was the back of the .com crash. There wasn't a lot of jobs around, but I was super keen on this, this internet thing, if you like. And what that could become. And so, took a job as kind of a digital art director or a web designer or whatever it was kind of called back then. And just was kind of just doing that for a couple of years. And it wasn't until I found a new job for an agency wanting, a digital art director, and took that role and then realized it was in a agency with 150 people. And, I think I went to my first, all staff meeting. I was probably 22 or something like that. And saw them present these amazing TV ads for Westfield and for Woolworths and things for other really cool, massive brands that I would see on the TV all the time. And I think that was the moment I was like, holy shit, this job that I'm doing is in this kind of cool company that like makes things that go on TV and they're on radio and they're in the real world. Like people get to see the stuff that you make. And I think that was the moment that it clicked, and it wasn't just a random job for me anymore. It was like, this thing was like, well, I've got to make, if everyone sees the stuff I'm going to be making, it's got to be awesome. And that was kind of that passion, I guess, is kind of the key word that had to be relentless in my career and in my life is to to leverage that passion and to chase greatness through kind of the quality of the work that you do. And fast forward sort of 15 years or whatever it might be now, and everything is about holding the quality tension. It's, you're only ever as good as the last piece of work that you put out, and it has to be at a level that your brand and your business stands for and in line with the brand that you're working on as well. So that relentless passion for quality and innovation and creativity and quality ultimately is kind of what drives me. And I get excited by people looking at the stuff that we work on as a business and going, wow, that's pretty awesome. So I think that driver hasn't changed. It's still exactly the same. I love making amazing work, whether it be big film pieces or big, mobile application projects and kind of everything in between. You've got to love it, and you've got to love the craft. Otherwise, it can be a drain.
What advice have you got for the listener that is client side right now, or just finishing their schooling or studying, or looking at changing industries? Give us an elevator pitch to get someone pumped on and excited about coming in and working for your agency or another.
Look, I think you've kind of got to look at every new opportunity as a challenge that you're looking to conquer, and find a way that you can bring something unique to it that you've got that no one else really, really does. And I think there's one thing that can't be replaced, and that is passion. And so I think no matter what you're doing, where you're looking to go, how you're looking to get there, people buy passion, because you can teach skills, you can teach capability, you can teach a type of work or a craft or whatever it might be, but no one can teach passion. You can't create it. It's within you, or it isn't. So I think when you're looking at switching or moving, find something that you are super excited about. Find something that you are passionate about, because there's that old saying that if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Well, it's absolutely true for me and many people that I know, because I just absolutely love what I do every day and I'm super passionate about it. So work isn't work, it's just another day in my life where I get to go and make awesome things. So find that, whatever it is, even if it's not in the current industry that you're in or the current skill set that you have, you've got to find something that excites you, and then you'll learn it naturally, because your body and your brain will help you get there, because your heart knows that's where you want to be.
I like it, mate. Very emotional, but I like it. Now this is another sensitive topic right now, and I'm really interested in your feedback. It's unemployment rates have increased this year. It feels like there's more no's than ever before, and as a man that leads agencies, that goes and pitches business and often doesn't get that work, regardless of the passion or how brilliant the idea is. How do you foster and help a team deal with a no and rejection? And what advice or insights have you got for that someone listening to this could take and take into that next opportunity, where it may be a no or it may be a yes, and they'll soon find out?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think earlier in my career, I was absolutely terrible at getting no's. I'm a very, very competitive person to this day, and I hate getting a no. And I've probably had some really bad experience with my teams where getting a no, you don't want to acknowledge it up front. You want to find a way through it before you tell the team and all those sorts of things. And it's absolutely the worst thing you can do. I think when you get a no, you've absolutely got to be able to learn from why it's a no. And a lot of the time it's not a no because you weren't good enough. It's a no because it just didn't fit, It could be the culture, it could be the idea, it could be the capability, it could be the fact that the other team or the other agency or the other business just proved one other thing that was really hot to trot for the client that they absolutely needed that maybe you just didn't have enough of, and you'll never to know that, So how you take the no and unpick it in conversations with clients when you're getting a no, getting a full debrief, getting a sit down after a giant pitch, and often a company like ours or any of the big ones will spend $50, $100, $150,000, $500,000 on a pitch, depending on how big the account's worth. So you get a no, it's a huge capital loss for the company and for the leaders, and then it's a huge mental loss for the team as well, because you spend literally months on these things and nights and weekends, absolutely. Then you get told no, and then a week later you get asked to do another one. It's kind of demoralizing. So you've got to be able to unpack it with the client really quickly, and then take those learnings and get them down and find out why you lost. And I think half the time you'll realize, well, you're probably never going to win anyway, and that just sucked. And then the other time you'll probably work out that it was just a couple of things that just didn't go your way, and this game's as much about luck as it is being awesome. And so you've got to be able to get the winners with the losers. Otherwise, you'll go crazy trying to win in this industry. But yeah, I think unpack the reasons why, and then share them transparently with the team, and sit down and do that post-mortem and work out why and where and when and how and what you could have done differently, and package that and take all of those learnings into the next one. Don't make that same mistake twice. And I think I was speaking to Nobe the other day, and he was started Droga in this country, and he's a pretty famous ad guy, and we had this exact discussion where he was saying that losing twice really bites, and you want to make sure that you go in knowing you can win, and that's super important. So if you don't take all of the intel from that loss, you can never set yourself up to make sure you win a second time.
Mate, wise words, and never easy, but you got to take the learnings, as you said. You got to take that experience and be even more ready for the next time. Look, I want to finish on kind of framing up your new dream job. You've had the opportunity to take everything you've learned and experienced in the past, hopefully get rid of some of the bad, and embrace some of those things that excite you and some of those new opportunities. Kind of sum up, if you can, your new dream job leading Akcelo. What's those one or two things that's really, really got you pumped up for this new challenge?
Yeah, look, for me, building something from scratch is my dream job. And I've been very, very fortunate where, my last role was very much that as well. And I think what's even more exciting now is that I'm doing it for myself. I've been able to harness all of my experience in large global companies where I kind of felt like I was building something for myself, and kind of building something from scratch, but you never really are. You're building it for someone else. This time it's that kind of adrenaline rush, I guess, of, failure is not an option because there is no safety net. There is no global holding company. There is no network of 150 offices that it doesn't matter if it doesn't work. This one's critical. But that's also probably the most exciting part of it, is building something new where everything's on the line. I think that's the adrenaline that's got me super, super excited. And I think doing it with great mates as well, and amazing people is also what really makes it super, super special. So I think my dream job is absolutely the one I've got now with Akcelo, and kind of leading that and building it from scratch. And I think I never would have got here if I didn't kind of put myself out there. And kind of going back a little bit to some of our discussion, is the one thing I'd love to impart around kind of the reason why I think I kind of got to the top of my career was that someone once said to me, it's not what you do in your 9 to 5 that makes you who you are. It's what you do after that. And so I remember I took those words on board and really took them to heart. And I just remember just kind of really busting my gut all day, every day, 9 to 5 to kind of build my career and get great at my job and get noticed and all those sorts of things. But it was actually what I did after 5 p.m. is actually made me who I am today. And that was the differentiator. That was the part that helped me get my dream job. It was about, building a blog on the side at night to kind of help increase my education and get noticed and make something famous that I could leverage to then help get my dream job. It was about networking with the right people, after 5 p.m. to put myself in an opportunity to be noticed. It was about learning things, on the weekends and at night when other people would, sort of finish and just go drinking or whatever it might be. So those kind of words sort of ring true in my career. It's just, it's kind of, it's not what you do in your 9 to 5, it's what you do after 5 p.m. that actually makes you who you are or who you really want to be.
Awesome, Aden. Thank you so much for your advice, mate. I know that the listener's going to take a lot from that. I know you've got some super exciting work behind closed doors at the moment with the new business, but we can't wait to see you bring that out into the real world, as you mentioned, and really appreciate you being a guest on Dream Job Ready.
Awesome. Thanks, mate. Pumped to be here.